Hi, my name's Sats. Welcome to my channel. As some of my subscribers will know, it's been a very long time since I last posted a dressmaking video. You'll also know that dressmaking and teaching is something that I'm very passionate about. Over the past few years, I've become interested in reducing clothes waste and showing how items which we might have outgrown or have lost their luster can be transformed into something that can be worn again. I've also become quite disillusioned by the fast fashion industry and everything that is associated with it. I love to be able to revive the pride and creativity that can come from making your own clothes. So I'm going to start very simple today and transform the evening dress behind me. It's one that hasn't had much opportunity to be worn in the current climate. I would like to change it into a top and a skirt which can be worn on an everyday basis. So stick around and I'll show you how it's done. So this dress is a very simple and common straight cut, also known as a shift dress. It's very easy to work with and you might have it lying around in your wardrobe and you haven't worn it for a while. So this would be a good project. So this dress in particular for me falls below the knee. It also does have a lining which might complicate matters, but I'll show you how to work with that. The back of the dress has a zip fastening which falls to about mid back level, but that shouldn't interfere with the adjustment process in this case. The first thing that you need to do is figure out how long you want the top to be. For me, that would fall just below the waist and measures around 18 inches. So you need to measure that on your dress. So I like to measure from around mid-shoulder down. So that would be around here. But then I would also need to add about 1.5 centimeters to 2 centimeters seam allowance. So I'll show you how to cut the dress. Okay. So go ahead and lie the dress on a flat surface. Make sure that all the layers are aligned, so that includes the top, bottom, sides, but also the lining. What I've done, which you probably can't see on the camera, is that I've measured out those 18 inches that I mentioned, which is the length of the top. I've added about 1.5 centimeters to that, and I've drawn a straight line with chalk across. And now I'm going to cut that line so it will separate the top and the bottom parts of the dress. Here we have it. So that's the top shirt and that's the bottom skirt layer. So we're going to work on creating the top first. So after the cutting exercise, this is what you should be left with. This is the top. So the bottom raw edges now need to be hemmed. As I said earlier, this particular dress had a lining. So the lining and the top will need to be done separately. Also, it will need to be hemmed by hand because of the delicate nature of the top fabric. I'll show you how to do that now. So I have the left hand side of the dress here. So I'm going to lift the edge. So as you can see, this is the seam. So fold down around 0.5 centimeter and then fold again so it's around 1 centimeter, like so. Grab a pin and just pin that down so it's secure, like so. Okay, move on around a few inches down, fold again about 0.5 centimeter and then another centimeter. So it looks like this. And again, pin, like so. Okay, I'll show you another one. So grab about 1/2 centimetre and then roll down so it's about 1 centimetre. Get a pin and just pin that down like so. So as you can see, we have a nice and healthy and tidy hem forming. We're going to do that all the way around. When you get to the other side where the seam is, again, make sure that when you fold down, the seam is aligned like so. So 1/2 centimetre and 1 centimetre like that, and pin down like so. So as you can see, once you've pinned all the way around, you'll get a nice hem which will cover the raw edges. So what we need to do now is to secure that with needle and thread. So get a small to medium sized needle and a thread which is a similar colour to your fabric, and tie a knot at the end. Now what you need to do is get the needle and put it through one of the bottom folds like this. So if you look closely, this is where the 0.5 centimetre fold is. So go ahead and pop the needle in, but make sure it doesn't go down the front, it doesn't go through the front, because you want this to be a hidden knot. Okay, so now go ahead and get the needle and take a few strands from the main fabric, okay, like this, a very tiny amount, because you don't want the thread to show too much on the other side. It needs to remain quite hidden. And then pull that through. And now you need to join it again with the fold. So it's going through the top folded bit. And with each seam, with each stitch, you're working kind of diagonally. So now that I've gone through the top bit, I will go diagonally to the main fabric, the underside of the main fabric, get a few strands of thread, pull the needle through like so. Okay, and now again go back through the top fold like so. And gradually you'll be creating a very neat and invisible seam. So again, go diagonally to the main fabric and then come through the folded fabric. Hopefully this is clear, but I'm creating a little row of stitches, and then on the other side they will be barely visible, but it will form a nice and secure hem. I will show you a few more stitches. So let me pin this again. Okay, so right now the thread is in the top folded bit, so there's the thread. Get the needle and take a few strands of thread from the main fabric like so, only a few. Okay, and now take the needle and go through the underside of the folded fabric like that. So with each stitch you're going diagonally and it's forming a nice row of stitches. And again, get the needle, a few strands of thread from the main fabric like so, and then go through the underside. of the folded fabric, like so. And I've done a few stitches from here to here, and you can see on the underside they're almost invisible. And continue doing that all the way around. So for the last stitch, you need to tie a knot at the end. To do this, take the needle, put it through the underside of the folded fabric again, and then loop the needle through the thread loop like so. So you're making a nice knot, and do that again. So another time, put the needle through the folded part, and then with this loop here, just pop the needle through it and then pull, and you've created a nice secure knot. And then go ahead and chop off this part of the string near the surface. There you have it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what we're left with. This is the top part of the garment that we've just completed hemming. So as you can see, there's a nice and tidy hem there, and almost invisible stitching on the top. What we're left with, because this had a lining, is this unsightly part sticking out the bottom. So what we need to do, because lining shouldn't ever show underneath the garment, is we're going to cut off from the bottom lining about 2 centimeters, and then we're going to hem that. So chop off 2 centimeters all the way around, and then fold 1.5 centimeters, just like we did with the top part of the fabric. So what I've done here is I've folded the top part of the garment, which is the velvet overlayer, and this is just the lining. Okay, both layers of the lining. I've marked out around 2 centimeters to 1 inch at the bottom and drawn a straight line, and I'm going to cut across like so. Okay, so now that that's done, we're gonna now hem the lining. So what you need to do is fold about 1.5 centimeters, and then press that down with an iron. And then we're going to do the same method of hemming for the bottom lining layer. Okay, so now after folding and pressing with the iron and pinning, I'm left with a very similar hem as I did with the top fabric. So what I'm going to do is use exactly the same method in order to be able to secure this hem. Okay, so this part of course can be done with a sewing machine, as the fabric is a little bit more sturdy. However, for the sake of consistency, I'm going to use the stitch method again. So as we did before, you need to tie the knot first. So go to the folded fabric, put the needle through, and then loop again, and you can tie a knot by going through the loop of thread. And then go ahead and take a few strands from the main fabric of the lining, so that's the non-folded part, and then go underneath the folded part and pull the needle through, and just continue doing that all the way around. And at the end of doing that, you need to secure the thread with a knot again, like we did for the front section. So now that the lining has been hemmed, you can see that the lining is hidden underneath the top fabric, and the velvet fabric just falls very nicely on top. So this is the shirt that we made from the dress, and next I'll show you how to make the skirt.